because we are going to review Jason Aaron's Batman Offworld. Last week I had to review Outsiders, and I said I'm going to throw you a 50-50 book here that's actually got the chance to be good. Jason Aaron sometimes has a good number one issue, and I think this one worked out for me.
Maybe I'm just too damaged by Jason Aaron. I have like Jason Aaron PTSD. I can't enjoy what I'm currently reading because I know whatever I'm currently reading is somehow going to break the character.
All right, Doc, where on the doll did Jason Aaron's writing touch you?
In the place where do you want Batman's parents to be killed by an alien? Because that's what this is going to end up by the time this series is done.
I cannot wait here, Doc. I thought I was throwing you a solid. I was like, hey, this is a pretty decent comic book. It's just not amazing. It's not Batman, Superman World's finest, but it's serviceable. It was entertaining. The art's really good. And you still hated it. But there's nothing I could do for you.
This was just a middling, kind of pointless.
Oh, come on, Doc. You know this is personal, man. It's because of what he did to Wolverine. You're still mad at him.
I'm mad at the fact that he doesn't have a second tool in his toolbox. He just did it to Punisher. He's done it to Thor. He did it to Wolverine. He did it to Cyclops. He did it to, did he get a chance to do it to Ghost Rider? I don't recall.
But he would have.
He did it to the fucking Avengers.
You got to live in the now, man. Let's get to this comic book because there's some stuff to talk about that's interesting. We do have some fantastic art from Doug Mahnke, and it certainly makes the comic book a much more pleasant to look at. Doug Mahnke is a fantastic artist, and this is a different setting than we're used to seeing Batman in. We do get a little bit of Gotham City, but for the most part, he's on spaceships interacting with aliens, and he's got jetpacks, and there's different types of gravity going on in this story. So the art absolutely brings you right in.
You know what? Doug Mahnke's art here was very good. He did a lot of very basic shots and basic angles that were not the most exciting. Doug Mahnke is a more experimental artist than this, and this felt like he was really, really playing it safe. And that's not really necessarily a problem. It's just, okay. And he's trying to establish scope. He's trying to establish weirdness. He's trying to establish these different environments and alien races and whatnot.
But it's definitely the highlight of the book. And I do like the writing as well, but the art does outshine it to a degree. And we start out, and they're basically using like a tractor beam to pull in like a spaceship that's got Batman aboard, and they've sent in the recruiters, and it turns out they're in the Slag Galaxy or something like this, and the ship is protected by a storm or whatever, and it's like a slaver ship. They're out there kidnapping aliens, trying to turn them into army personnel and stuff. If that doesn't work, they sell them off as slaves and stuff like that, and Batman has got himself in quite the pickle here. And I thought one of the most enjoyable elements of the comic book, Doc, was when the aliens were interacting with Batman for the first time and their view of what he was doing. And wow, he's got wings, but they're not functional, and they're kind of breaking down what he is. And they don't think very highly of him. And I also do think the inner monologue from Batman while he's reacting to the aliens and the new environment regarding fake gravity and all that stuff really fleshed out the environment.
I like that Jason Aaron did take the time to look at this from the perspective of somebody like Batman who does prepare himself, and especially with him talking about how the batarangs don't fly right in the artificial gravity. He's looking at all the different variables that are going to impact his ability for combat in this environment. And I like that. Now, the one thing that is I think, reasonable criticism, and it's not a Jason Aaron criticism, it is in everybody that's a comic book writer criticism, when they write aliens that act and speak exactly like current generation Americans.
I think it was meant to be more exposition than really fleshing out the aliens and the way they interact with each other. We don't really meet a whole lot of aliens specifically. There is a robot kind of towards the end, and we do get an introduction to the main villain. I don't even remember his name. Once you start throwing alien names in there, it gets a little confusing. He's not really all that fleshed out, but the one that really kind of is, at least initially, her name is Eno. She's a Tamaranian. She's aboard the ship. Apparently, she hunts down people that have escaped off the ship or something like that. She's apparently like kind of special forces or something like that, but she's also some type of prisoner. And she does initially go up to him. She sees something in Batman and wants him to help her do like an escape plan or whatever, but he's not having any of it. He wants to stick around which is the first hint that maybe not everything is what it seems, at least in the beginning of it. And I thought she was interesting enough.
Since this is kind of set very, very early on in Batman's career. Now, granted, they don't make that clear until you just kind of have to infer it whenever you get the flashback to Gotham. I feel like maybe they did want to use Starfire. Maybe editorial said no, so he just went with a different member of the same race. She seems to be a little bit of a mystery here too. They obviously want her to be somewhat mysterious. You know, she's a bounty hunter, but she's also a slave, and she wants to start a rebellion, and she wants Batman on her side, even though she thinks that he's a joke, which didn't really make all that much sense.
They don't see him as even worthy of training. They can't even sell him on the black market as a soldier or whatever. And they make him like the janitor. He's fucking cleaning toilets and stuff while he's kind of investigating what's going on with the ship. And he's asking questions. And you're starting to get a better understanding that he is not here by happenstance. And actually, Batman, this is part of his plan. He booked a one-way ticket into space to get captured by these guys because he wants to do something. You're not sure what, but he has used the fact that they're underestimating him to his own ability and has a plan, which felt very Batman.
He used Wayne Tech money for like a $352 million spaceship that was capable of interstellar travel. Wayne Enterprises had bought from Star Labs after Star Labs had recovered it. We'll find out a little later in the book why he's doing it, but you can definitely tell he's got a bigger plan here, you know.
And he's training on this like punching bot.
Yeah.
It showed him all the fighting styles while they're not paying attention to him.
Because Batman wants to use the fucking fighting robot to teach him all of these styles, all of the fighting styles of all of the aliens that it knows.
So the big reveal is that this is not the first time Batman has actually encountered an alien from the Slag Galaxy. I guess one of the mob bosses somehow befriended an alien that looks somewhat similar to the main alien that's the boss of the ship. Is this his cousin? Is this his brother, his dad, or something like that? I'm not really sure. But he was working for one of the crime bosses in Gotham. I'm not sure how that works out. I imagine that will be fleshed out. And we're not even sure if he wins this fight, but we do know that he did fight him. And whatever happened here compelled him to go out and spend like $500 million on this ship to go and intercede the goddamn thing because he felt it was that big of a threat to Gotham, like long term.
I hope to God it doesn't turn out to be even somebody that's related to this guy, the fucking captain, because some Irish mob boss hired an alien. He's from out of town, way out of town. Fucking Christ. The most cliche goddamn joke ever. I can't figure out if he finds that this alien is a threat or if he's just recognizing that he needs to, you know, Batman is recognizing, oh, there's a much bigger world and bigger potential threats, and I have to go and learn them, but I have to go to them in order to learn how to fight them.
I do not believe that's what's actually happening, Doc. I think we're going to find out that he defeated that alien kind of on accident, but then realized once he started studying that this was an enormous threat, and he better go out there before it gets here because you don't want to fight it on your home turf kind of thing.
We don't have enough info here on what Batman's plan is to really figure it out. And maybe it'll be an interesting thing, or maybe we're just going to find out that Joe Chill was one of these guys. He needs to go to the Slag Galaxy to go find Joe Chill because that's where he actually went back to. Or whoever it is in this version of Batman's story that killed his parents because, you know, Batman's parents were killed by an alien because it's fucking Jason Aaron.
Doc, I feel like I might be a sucker here, but I kind of like this comic book. I don't think it's amazing. You know, it's like a 3.5, maybe 4-star comic out of 5. There's a lot of strengths to it. There are some weaknesses, but it's fun. You know, a fun Batman book is never going to be something that I turn my eye away from. But I had been burned by Jason Aaron in the past. He does have the track record of starting out with a pretty strong #1 and then ruining stuff. Punisher being a good example. Another recent example was the beginning of his Avengers run wasn't bad at all. It was actually pretty good. And then he started destroying things. I don't think he's got enough time here, but am I the sucker for buying into this and recommending it to people?
Yes, because until Jason Aaron proves that he is not just a one-note joke writer, And is it going to do the exact same thing he has done for the last decade anytime he's been on any character? If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's Jason Aaron fucking with somebody's origin.
Are you saying that until you can prove that Jason Aaron is not going to be Jason Aaron anymore, you don't trust him?
Yes, I am. And
are you recommending this? Because I recommend the comic book. I think it's solid.
I'm saying if you want to read one issue of a comic and never think about it again, it's not a half bad story. If you want to not hate yourself for supporting Jason Aaron's continuity ruining career anymore, then I would suggest you skip it. So,
and then the Grinch's heart grew 2 times. I thawed you out, Doc.
No,
you almost recommended the book.
I can't say that this individual issue was abysmal. I just know where it's going, and that is. So I'm recommending you steer clear of this whole miniseries.
And there's a reason Doc is doing this, because Jason Aaron did leave a path to destruction at Marvel Comics. Almost everything he's touched over the past decade, even the stuff that was good at some point, he is kind of ruined. Even Thor, his big claim to fame, and Gore the God Butcher, even dropped the ball on that stuff eventually. And there's a good chance he's going to bring it over to DC Comics, but he's not going to be writing in continuity. I don't think this is in continuity. He is going to be doing some Ultimate Universe stuff. But if you need a friendly reminder of just who Jason Aaron is and what he's done at Marvel Comics and why you should be weary of this, and I'm probably the sucker right here, let's look at what he did to the Punisher and how this thing fell off the tracks and really exposed Jason Aaron as being exactly who Doc claims he is. There's also a video. There's also a link in the video description. Jesus, Wes.